Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel, you guys. As you can see by the title, I am sadly not going to be at EDC Las Vegas this year, so I thought I would just kind of go into a little bit as to why I'm not going to be at EDC Las Vegas this year. But to cope with that, I have some questions that you guys submitted, so we're going to be doing a good old-fashioned EDC Q&A video. You know, I have been to EDC Las Vegas 4 times. I've been creating content for the festival community since 2017. So I thought, why not do a little Q&A video? But I also have tons of videos on my YouTube channels from, you know, the vlogs of me attending, as well as a bunch of tip videos for you guys to dive into that I will link down below for you guys. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys feel supported and also talk a little bit about why I don't see myself attending EDC this year and in the near future as well. I also wanted to announce something very exciting that was an idea from a follower, because I won't be at EDC Las Vegas, which means I won't be at Camp EDC, to do an intention setting workshop. I've done intention setting workshops in person at Electric Forest and Groove Cruise, and while I will not be at EDC Las Vegas, I have decided to host a virtual intention setting workshop. And so if you've never heard of what intention setting is, it is basically a practice that allows you to really align with what you want to get out of a music festival. And EDC is a very overwhelming experience to some. Intention setting can really just allow you to really call in what you want to get out of this weekend and allow you to just release some anxiety and some stress. So like I said, I'm hosting a virtual intention setting workshop on May 13th at 7 p.m. Central. If you are available, all you need is a phone or a laptop with Zoom on it to join, and it is free to join as well. And I will be taking you through an intention setting meditation as well as some journaling, and just really allowing you to get excited about your EDC experience and just hopefully call in a magical weekend under the electric sky. So if you're interested in joining, I will leave a link down below for you to join. If you have any questions about that, definitely let me know. But let's get into the tea. Why I will not be at EDC Las Vegas this year. I have gone to EDC Las Vegas 4 times. I went 2017, 2018, 2021, and 2022. I did not go last year. And the reason really stems from my 2022 experience. As I've gone to EDC multiple times, I've done them in different ways. So 2017 was when it was back in June. I drove from Arizona and stayed with friends in a hotel room. We crammed a bunch of people into the hotel room. We did the shuttle experience. Had a great time. It was my first EDC, super magical, right? Then 2018 was a little bit different because I was coming from Texas. So I flew in, we did an Airbnb, and we did driving and Premier Parking Pass. I did skip 2019 just because making the trip out from Texas, I was trying to go to other festivals that year. And so I decided not to go that year. Then 2021, this was the first EDC after COVID, or it was still kind of COVID times, right? It was when it was in October, and it was also my first time doing Camp EDC. And like I said, it was still kind of pandemic time, so it was less crowded. Honestly, if it wasn't for my 2017 experience being my favorite EDC, like October EDC 2021 is like also at the top there. And then 2022 was actually a really exciting year. It was my biggest brand collaboration ever, where I got sent to EDC by Allegiant, which is one of the sponsors of EDC. And it was very special to me because I got comped tickets, I got a hotel room, I got my flight covered. Like the whole trip was basically covered by Allegiant. And you know, they did rental car, Premier Parking Pass, all of that stuff. Like I was set up by Allegiant, and it was just such an amazing opportunity. Yet when I went to EDC Las Vegas 2022, I noticed a considerable difference compared to EDC 2021, being that it was back in May, and this was also, you know, a little bit more out of the pandemic times. And it was just one of those things where I was like, there's a considerable difference in terms of the size of people. Like you could just feel how crowded it was. Also with the wind in May, the weather in May, being prepared for that. There was just something about it where I was like, yes, they expanded the racetrack, but they filled it with more people to where it just wasn't enjoyable, in my opinion. And also the wind can really impact the sound and the music of the sets. Like we were at certain sets and it was hard to even hear the music, like at circuit grounds, right? We were at Zed's Dead and that happened too. And I saw one of my friends, Mel, talk about this on TikTok. Melanie, she's great. And she's talked about how she has no interest in going to EDC. And a lot of people actually came for her. And I just felt like, you know what? Good on her for recognizing that is probably a festival experience I don't want to partake in. And she wasn't bashing it in a negative way. She just basically said, look, I know that EDC is a very overwhelming experience. It's also something that you have to really plan for in order to be comfortable. And I just don't see myself doing that. And I think that's good on her. There are so many festivals for us to attend. And I really do think it's not a matter of we all have to try every single one. It really is about finding the ones that we are going to enjoy the best, that has, you know, the music selection we like, that has the experience that we enjoy. And like I said, I've been to this festival 4 times and I think I've kind of hit, you know, my cap with it right now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go back in the future, but I do think that I need a little bit more in order to feel comfortable to go to EDC, just because if you're staying at a hotel, it's a whole navigation schedule just to get to the speedway, right? But then if you're doing Camp EDC in May, you're dealing with really hot temperatures during the day and then really cold temperatures at night. So it's a lot, honestly. And I'm not saying any of these things to turn off the people that are going this year. Like, you're gonna have a great time, and definitely be prepared for whatever when it comes to weather, and definitely plan ahead if you are traveling, whether you're doing the shuttle or you're driving or you're Ubering, because it's a trek and you definitely have to plan for it. And I think just for me, like, I would love to just manifest maybe a more EDC experience with ease, where I have maybe like VIP passes, maybe I have round trip helicopter rides. Like, a girl can dream, you know what I mean? I could put that out into the universe, right? And so that's just kind of where I'm at. And like I said, I will always love EDC. I'm so excited to just be at home and watch it all go down, right? And hear the feedback from everyone, because I know there's so many exciting changes coming. I think they're going to be doing a live stream, so I'll be able to watch that. I'll actually be home that weekend getting ready for Lightning in a Bottle. It's really just one of those things where I've just decided to take a step back, and, you know, me not getting a ticket allows someone else to get a ticket and get to have, you know, their magical EDC experience. If you want more tip videos, go check out Emma Capotis and Bebe Howell for all the tip videos. And they're going to EDC. Like, when they decided to go to EDC, I was like, these girls, like, I was this close to also pulling the trigger, but I knew I wanted to go to Lightning in a Bottle, and I just can't pull off EDC with Lightning in a Bottle because they're back to back. Like, cannot do that. But that's what I have FOMO the most over, is the people that are going to EDC. You know what I mean? That is the main tea as to why I will not be at EDC Las Vegas this year. But let's get into some of your guys' questions. If you have any more questions about EDC after I go through some of these questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and then definitely check the description box where you can sign up for the intention setting workshop. And then you can also find, you know, my videos, and I'll put Emma and BB's videos as well, so you guys have all the tips to feel prepared, and that way you can have a really amazing and magical and comfortable experience. So let's get into these questions. I have different kind of buckets here. We have overall EDC questions, and then we go into accommodations, then have some arrival questions, and then experience questions. And the first person said, first timer EDC, you're here, top tips. I do have a veterans video, and I believe a first timers video. Emma just also came out with a what to expect video as a first timer, so I'm definitely gonna direct you to that. If I had to round off, let's say some top 5 tips, like, it's going to be wear comfortable shoes. Definitely wear comfortable shoes. Bring a pashmina or a jacket in case it gets windy and cold. You never know. Even if it says like it's gonna be 100 degrees during the day, like, look at that low. Look at whatever the low is, because that's what you're dealing with that night. Definitely pace yourself, eat full meals, drink a lot of water, all of those things. Like, it's a marathon, 100%. And I've heard so many times of people going way too hard on the first day and then struggling the rest of the days. Like, definitely make some plans to support yourself and take care of yourself throughout the whole weekend. Try and see a set at every single stage. That way you get a vibe. And now that they've even added art carts too, but can allow you just to expand your music taste and get to see different artists, and then also get a feel for like the different experiences of that. And then number 5, if I had to give another 5, is to walk the whole speedway, especially because they're adding so many cool new things this year. Like, you never know what you're gonna find, and sometimes going on those little side quest adventures, especially to downtown EDC, is way more fun and memorable compared to just going from set after set after set, right? It's gonna be really hard because the set times are gonna come out and you're gonna wanna book yourself like set after set after set. But if you can take any time to explore, I think you will really enjoy that. So those are kind of some top tips to start, but obviously there's so much when it comes to EDC, and there's definitely more questions here. Next question is, how does this festival compare to Tomorrowland? Well, I have never been to Tomorrowland, but there are some similarities in the sense of electronic music lovers all gathering together. However, Tomorrowland encompasses like a whole plot of land. There are definitely more stages. Obviously, EDC has a lot of stages, and they also have smaller stages with like the art cars and stuff included. But I do know that Tomorrowland has probably the most stages and artists on the lineup. Like, I'm pretty sure they beat EDC every year in terms of that lineup. Like, if you look at that, you have to get out a magnifying glass to look at that. I would also say in terms of rave culture, like EDC Las Vegas is definitely more of that US raver culture, like the candy, the rave outfits, you know, that kind of thing. Whereas Tomorrowland, they are more of that casual wear. And you also get more of a melting pot from what I've heard in terms of just people from different countries and cultures. But a lot of people from outside of the country in the US do travel for EDC as well. I would just say it's probably more of a melting pot over at Tomorrowland because it is such an international big festival. They do both have camping, and they do both have like hotel accommodation shuttle situations. That's kind of what I know until I can go to Tomorrowland. It's definitely on my list too, but maybe that gives you a little bit of comparison. I do think they're the same amount time-wise. They always have a Thursday pre-party, and then they are, you know, Friday through Sunday. And then Tomorrowland is 2 weekends, EDC is 1 weekend. So hopefully that's a little bit of a basis comparison there. The next question is, how long does it take for your sleep schedule to get back to normal? Whew, man, it really just depends, but you might want to give yourself the week to kind of like assimilate back into your sleeping schedule. What I will say is, you know, take as much time off as you possibly can, but it's also important to start regulating your sleep schedule like automatically. So what I mean by that is, like, obviously you're sleeping during the day for EDC because it starts at like 6 or 7 p.m., goes until 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and it takes you, you know, however long to get back to your tent or back to your hotel or Airbnb, whatever it may be. So you might be sleeping from like 9 a.m. to like 4 p.m. So your sleep schedule gets a little bit messed up. But what I will say is, on that Monday, like once the sun is rising and you're going home after the last set or whatever, like depending on what, a lot of people have to travel right away, like depending, I would try to stay up after that, or like maybe get a quick little power nap before you have to, you know, drive back or fly out or whatever. And when you get home that Monday night, that's when you start to try to get your sleep schedule back. And that might not actually happen until Tuesday. So you want to make sure that you are just going to bed at the time that you're supposed to be going to bed at, not sleeping through the day, in order to start getting that sleep schedule back. So there might be a little bit of like lost sleep there somewhere where you have to kind of push through the day so that way you can fall asleep at nighttime, if that makes sense. But I feel like the recovery like can really take about a week before you start feeling like some normalcy, just because, you know, substances involved, or just it's a lot of energy exerted. And yes, you are flipping your sleep schedule. You might not be getting full 8 hours of sleep because you are sleeping during the day, things like that, right? So it is quite a process to recover from EDC. So you definitely want to take the time to take care of yourself and make sure you're staying hydrated, eating nourished meals, getting enough sleep, and making sure that you don't get sick. And you might want to plan ahead in terms of like taking time off and things like that if you haven't done that already. Okay, now moving on to accommodations, we have EDC camping or EDC hotel. So which one or the other? I have not done EDC hotel. However, I did hear good things about it last year. I had some friends that did it and they really liked it and enjoyed that experience. I don't really think I heard too many cons with that. I have done EDC camping. It really just depends. Obviously you're camping, right? Like you're out there in the heat. They have those little tents and stuff. They have the AC units that might work, might not work. They have the pool parties and stuff like that for you to stay cool in, but even the pool parties reach capacity. But what I will say about EDC camping is that you don't have to worry about transportation. Like, all you have to do is walk out of the campgrounds and go to EDC, versus when you stay in a hotel, you have to shuttle or Uber or drive. And for me, that's kind of like the differentiation, right? Where it's like, when you stay in a hotel, and someone else had a question about this, when you stay in a hotel or Airbnb, like when you stay off-site of EDC, it's a journey to plan for. Like, you have to think about when you want to leave, and it's not thinking, oh, we're just gonna leave 30 minutes before the set that we want to see. Like, no, like, you want to leave earlier than that, you know? Obviously with the hotel, you're more comfortable, right? Like, you get to sleep in a bed, shower. Like, I will say that was really nice. You just have to really plan for when you're getting to EDC, and then also if you are driving, you know, who's going to be the DD on the way back, right? And not be partaking in anything. So it just requires a little bit more planning, but I would say a lot of people do go the hotel route because of that comfortability factor of being able to sleep during the day and like blackout curtains and it not be hot and you have a shower and all of that stuff. But the trade-off for that is having to plan, you know, how you're getting there, how you're getting back. Whereas like Camp EDC, like their trade-off is being in the heat and being in, you know, that kind of environment, unless you're doing like an RV or whatever. But to save time not being in traffic and not dealing with that. So for me, I don't know where I really stand with it, because I've done both, and I still think I would need things to feel a little bit more comfortable. And that's why I'm like, I would love to just do the helicopter round trip, but I know like that is a hefty penny, right? So those are kind of some pros and cons with both of those. But I know some people that are all camp EDC, and then there's other people that are like, no, I would rather not camp. I would rather hotel it up. So really just depends. Next question is, how much space do we get outside RV? Should we bring camp chairs and set up outside? I don't know the exact dimensions, but I do know you get kind of a nice little hangout area. So yeah, you could definitely bring some camp chairs. You could bring a table. I've never done an RV, but I remember walking past them, and they give you a little bit of like an outside area for you to hang out with. So yeah, you could definitely make it your own little area for you guys to hang out, pregame in, all of that stuff. The next category we have is arrival. So what time do you usually leave? We're driving into park, and we're gonna stay late day one. So I thought this first meant what time do you usually leave to get to the festival, but now I'm thinking they meant what time do you leave the festival to get out. But I'm going to answer both ways. So what time do you usually leave? Like, say you're staying at a hotel on the Strip, or you're staying at an Airbnb or whatever, and you're driving. I would say to give yourself 1 to 2 hours before you want to be there. And honestly, the earlier the better, because the later it gets, like when you get to like prime time of leaving, which like usually everyone kind of leaves around that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock time frame, it will definitely impact your time to get there. I have the clips on my phone, but I don't know if the time is going to be different because it's in Vegas time, and obviously I'm in Austin time. This is why we vlog, and I might have put timestamps in the vlogs for you to go back and maybe look. Well, it was actually 2 hours. So we started driving out at 7:17. We got to the Speedway at 9:12. So it was basically 2 hours, regardless of if that was like, I want to say that, I feel like that time is right. I'm definitely gonna buy a jacket, but it's okay. So that timing is right. So we left around 6:45. That clip of us on the road was 7:17. We're walking to security 9:12. So basically 2 hours. And then the next day, we left at 6:15. So even just like 30 minutes earlier, and we got to the Speedway way quicker. We got to the Speedway at 6:53. So, and obviously on Friday, people are excited. Saturday, they're already like a little bit more dead and a little bit more slow. But that's just to give you like an indication that even just by leaving around like 6 o'clock, it can get you there a lot quicker if you're able to like do that and assemble your group. Now for leaving, we left about 30 minutes early. I don't think we stayed the full time any of the days. Like, we saw a little bit of the sunrise sets, and then we just decided to head out. I was the DD, So I was the one kind of like doing all of that, but we left at 4:46 on the first day. And then I have a clip of me at Dunkin' Donuts in my rave outfit at 6:22. So that was a little bit of like a journey, probably like an hour and a half to get home to the Strip. So yeah, it's just something you gotta plan for depending on where you're staying. If you're staying in the Strip or if you're staying kind of like outskirts of Vegas or wherever that may be, but you just kind of have to plan for it. And you know, there was one time with the shuttles that we left like when everyone else was leaving and we didn't get back to our hotel until 9 a.m. That was my 2017 EDC shuttle experience. So yeah, just definitely plan for it. If you leave at the same time as everyone else, like you're gonna be stuck in traffic, whether it's the shuttle or driving or Uber or whatever. So even just leaving 30 minutes to an hour, which I know sucks for some of those sunrise sets, but it's definitely gonna be helpful in terms of you getting home, because the sooner you get home, you can shower, have a snack, and then go to bed and really try to maximize the amount of sleep you get, because otherwise you're gonna have to wake up at like 4 p.m., get ready, do it all over again. You know what I mean? Next question is tips on traffic and the general parking lot first year driving in. So yeah, based off like those timestamps I just gave you guys, like just plan ahead. If you think you need to leave at this time, maybe just add an extra 30 minutes to it. Like whatever you think, maybe add an extra 30 minutes to an hour just to be safe. Obviously, like try to do it the first day and really try to time yourselves and see how that goes, and then adjust the rest of the days based off of that. If you're doing the general parking lot, it's definitely going to be a little bit more trafficked because the Premier parking lot has a separate route and a separate lot where they get to cut a lot of that traffic. So because you're in the general parking lot, it's definitely going to take a lot. The timestamps I just gave you were actually for a Premier parking pass. So you might even want to pad your time a little bit more with the general parking lot, based off of what, you know, I've seen. Like I've seen us drive past what the general traffic line looks like. So yeah, you definitely just want to plan ahead for that. Okay, next question is bathroom tips and tricks for when they get icky. Ooh. Definitely bring wet wipes and some of those in case there's no toilet paper. Definitely try to go to like the bathrooms in the back corner, the ones that aren't really utilized. I would also try to find, you know, the bathrooms that maybe aren't as busy during like peak times or like the headliner times even. And then yeah, hand sanitizer, Lysol, whatever you can bring, because they can get a little gross. And just pray to the gods on that one. How's the phone service and does it get freezing at night like everyone says? Phone service depends on your carrier. I believe they have a partnership with Verizon. I don't remember my phone service being too bad with AT&T, but I might be wrong. I can't remember, but I think I was fine with texting. I think it was my friends with T-Mobile that were not good with texting. But I think for Verizon's good to go, and I think AT&T was good to go. And of course, as the night goes on though, when it's like more at capacity, it definitely, the phone service gets a little spotty, but just timestamp your text messages like 5:42 going to Kinetic Field, you know? And does it get freezing at night like everyone says? Yes. It's really not that bad with the cold. It's the wind. Like the wind is what makes it cold. So just plan for it, prepare for it. They do have merch. And there is also a vendor village. Learn from my mistake, because I stood in merch for 3 hours when I could have gone to the vendor village, which is just right across the way from Rainbow Road. If the map stays the same, it's in like the little carnival square outside of it. There's a little vendor village where there's pashminas, probably jackets, things like that. Yeah, I really messed up with that one. Like my ex and I literally just wanted to die when we found out that there was like an area where we could have just gotten a pashmina, been good to go, but we waited in merch for 3 hours. It is what it is. You live and you learn. Next question is, what is the best spot for fireworks? I was at Kinetic and it seems perfect. Is there a better one? I want to be right. Okay. Everyone says Cosmic Meadow is a great viewing point, which yes, Cosmic Meadow in the stands. I don't really agree with Kinetic being the best spot, to be honest. We were there 2022 right before Millennium played, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think it's the best spot. I really like Cosmic Meadow just for the whole vantage point of seeing all of the fireworks, but I do think the most underrated spot is at Base Pod. Like the fireworks at Base Pod is insane when I look back at my footage and my videos. Circuit Grounds is like the next best because it has that vantage point, but you kind of have to look to your left to see them. If you want like a dead on view of those fireworks and just be in awe of how many there are and just like all of it, Base Pod is a really good vantage point, which also means Wasteland probably is too. But I do know that they're moving things around, so I could be totally messing everything up with the new map. But I would say like if they're moving things around, old Base Pod, old Wasteland it's really just along the edge of that speedway. I don't know the directions. Like if you're on Cosmic Meadow in the stands, like facing that way, like any stage that is going that way where the fireworks are going to be is going to be the best spot. But also Cosmic Meadow is a really beautiful spot because you get to see all of the stages with all of the fireworks. But I do think an underrated and cool vantage point is at Base Pod. Those are just my thoughts. That's my opinion.
Well, you guys, I had to take down this video and re-upload it because it was missing a whole section of it. But also, too, they just came out with the EDC map and everything is moved around. So where I'm thinking is the best place to view these fireworks was along here. Like Wasteland used to be here, Base Pod used to be here, but now it got flipped. So Quantum Valley's over here, Neon Gardens over here. So honestly, seeing the fireworks from this vantage point is really cool, but also you could be in the stands in Cosmic Meadow to view them. But honestly, there's a lot to uncover with this map and so many changes. I'm really excited for you guys to kind of experience it all. And I get to hear about the feedback, like Base Pod down here, Wasteland over here, like crazy.
My next question is best vendors to stop by. I don't know, to be honest, because every year it changes. So if you just go to the vendor village, there will definitely be, a ton of vendors there to support and check out. They also do have other activations to check out, like with their sponsors, like Allegiant and some of the other sponsors that they have. So yeah, if you do that exploring and walking around, you might see other vendors or activations or like, for example, downtown EDC and like other fun things to partake in. I know that they're trying out and rolling out a bunch of different cool things this year for EDC. So just definitely take a lap around and see all the different cool things that you can explore. Next question is it actually as packed with people as people say? Yes. And this is how I felt about it in EDC 2022. It's like, just because you expanded the speedway and you filled it with stuff doesn't mean we need to fill it with more people. But that's just what I think about it. Also, just because there's open space in the speedway, do we really need to fill that with something? When we can have more space for like a stage or like whatever. But, I'm not the festival organizer or planner. I'm just a little content creator. What do I know? But I personally noticed a difference from 2021 to 2022. I don't know how last year felt, but I would be curious if I went to 2022 and 2023 how it felt. But it definitely does get packed at certain points, and it also depends on the artist you see, because if you're seeing some of those big main artists, I saw Illenium at EDC 2022, and I knew what I was walking into with that. And that was definitely super crowded, whereas had I been at Adam Bayer at the Neon Garden, I would have had a whole different experience in terms of it being packed, you know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely feels like that to me personally, but it also depends on where you're at in the crowds and moving through and what sets you're going to and all that too. And that brings me to the next question, which is how is the crowd at each stage? Neon Garden versus Quantum Valley versus Circuit Grounds versus Kinetic. Have heard the crowd at Kinetic is way too overwhelming and packed. It really just depends on the artist. Like, I personally don't think that the crowd is like, oh, like people are way meaner at this stage or like whatever. Like, it's just the artist that attracts that, in my opinion. Obviously, like Quantum Valley, like you go to Quantum Valley around like some of the OG ravers that are into trance and stuff like that. Like, I've noticed the crowd being different in that they're all nice like OG ravers. Like, I've had that experience before. But when you have like Circuit Grounds and Kinetic Field, Stereo Bloom even, which have like a rotation of some of those main like house artists or different acts and things like that, like it really just is going to depend on the artist and the crowd they kind of attract, to be honest. Neon Garden, same thing, like it's all the house and techno people, right? And like that's always a good time. Cosmic Meadow is also a gamble because they do a variety of different artists as well. And then Base Pod, you're obviously going to get your bass heads, which like I personally have never had a bad crowd experience, like ever. Like I've never really met anyone that was rude or like shoved or like anything like that when it comes to EDC, at least from what I remember. So I wouldn't worry too much about like, oh, I'm gonna stay away from that crowd at that stage or whatever, unless it's like an artist that you know is going to attract that type of crowd that you don't want to be around, you know? But it really depends on the artist. The crowd being too overwhelming and packed at Kinetic, again, it just comes down to the artist that they put there. So that might be a factor in. If you have a favorite artist that is going to be playing at Kinetic and you don't want to deal with that, then maybe go explore another set, another artist. Like I said, I went to Millennium at Kinetic Field in 2022 and I knew what I was dealing with. Like I knew what I was walking into. I knew it was going to be packed. That would probably be my only crowd experience where like, yeah, people were shoving and pushing and like I just dealt with it because it is what it is. And I knew what I was signing up for, if that makes sense. And then the last question, which I thought this was a fun and wholesome question that I wanted to end on. And it's my friend's birthday on EDC on Sunday. We are camping too. Is there a way to make her day extra special? And I just love this question because I think it's so fun. And I think, you know, a couple things could come to mind. Sunday might be a little bit too hard to do this, but if you want to try to like have a cake or something, or like maybe some type of like dessert thing, or go to camp and see if they have some type of dessert. They even have like a donut. Like if you get a couple donuts and get some candles or something and maybe start out her day like that. I think even maybe getting her like a little birthday sash. There's enough time. Maybe you get like a little EDC birthday queen sash or something for that person. I don't know if it was a girl or a guy. Oh, her day. Yeah. Get her like a little sash or something. Maybe like a little birthday crown. That could be really fun because then other people will just be wishing her happy birthday. And things like that. But I think those could always be really fun things. And then I've seen people make like little totems or like, you know, trade candy with her. It's her birthday, you know, things like that could be really fun and engaging with. But I really love that you're thinking about how to make her day special. And then, yeah, like maybe you guys all plan, like if you're one big group, maybe you guys have sets that you're splitting up for, but maybe figure out what's like the top set she wants to see that day and just like go to that set with her, even if it's not your favorite artist or whatever, but just to like have that one set that's like her choice that you guys all get to like be there with her, love on her, celebrate her, all of that. But I love that you guys are planning for this, and I hope that these ideas help in some way. But yeah, definitely spending your birthday at EDC would be so much fun. So I'm wishing her a happy early birthday. Hope you have the best time. So that is it for today's video. Whew, it's been a minute since I talked about EDC, so I hope this was helpful. I hope my tips aren't outdated, but I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Sign up for that intention setting workshop to come and get your vibes and energy right before you go to EDC. And like I said, even though I'm not going, I still love EDC with all of my heart, and I hope that if you're watching this, you have the best time. Definitely go check out the links I put in the description, and if you have any other questions, leave them down below. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to vibe with me. Like I said, I'm a festival content creator and life coach, helping the festival community create beautiful experiences on and off the dance floor. So I would love to have you in my little vibey family. And I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.